My family kicked me out for being poor. 3 years later, I'm successful and rich. And when they got caught doing something illegal, they begged me for help. But I said, fire them all. My name is Jason, I'm 22, and for most of my life, I thought family meant support, love, and trust. But the moment they found out I didn't have money, everything changed. I had just finished my college degree, working part-time jobs to survive, trying to make ends meet, but my family didn't see the struggle or the effort. They only saw that I wasn't rich like some of my cousins or friends. One evening, after coming back home from my shift, I expected a normal dinner, maybe some small talk, maybe even encouragement. Instead, I was met with anger and frustration. My parents told me I was useless, that I should leave the house until I could start contributing financially. Their words cut deep because this wasn't a single comment. This was years of judging, mocking, and measuring me by money, not love. They kicked me out that night, telling me to come back only when I could pay them like some tenant. I didn't cry, not immediately. I packed a small bag and walked out, carrying my dignity and a little hope that life outside might be better than the cold, judgmental home I had left behind. I found a tiny apartment that I could afford with the few dollars I had saved, and I started taking small jobs, delivery, cleaning, anything to survive. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't easy, and some nights I went hungry. But every small paycheck, every moment I saved, I felt a strange kind of pride. I realized that being on my own forced me to grow in ways I never would have if I stayed in that house. I learned how to budget, how to prioritize, and how to value my own efforts. Months went by, and I worked harder than ever. I studied online courses at night, picked up skills that were in demand, and slowly began to build something that was mine. Every call or message from my family about returning I ignored. I knew deep down that their love was conditional, based on money, and that I didn't need approval from people who only valued me for what I could give them financially. One day, I heard through mutual friends that my family had gotten into serious trouble. They had been caught doing something illegal, something that could have led to jail time. Suddenly, they were begging, calling, asking for help, and trying to convince me that they needed me to fix everything. I sat back and thought about every time they told me I was worthless, every night I spent alone, every tear I shed. I realized I had the power now. I had built a life from nothing, and I wouldn't let them take advantage of me or my hard work. I told them flatly, fire them all. I wouldn't rescue them from their own mistakes. That day, I felt a satisfaction that I had never felt before. I had been rejected, kicked out, and treated like dirt, but I had survived. 3 years later, I am successful, rich, and independent. My family is no longer a shadow over my life. I don't feel revenge, I feel freedom. I built myself up, and I realized that true success isn't just about money. It's about respecting yourself enough not to let others take advantage of you. The first year after I left home was harder than anything I had ever imagined. Every morning, I woke up before sunrise, juggling multiple jobs just to pay rent and buy food. I slept on a small couch in a tiny apartment, wrapped in a thin blanket that barely kept me warm during cold nights. But even in those difficult moments, I felt a spark inside me. A spark that refused to die. A spark that reminded me that I was capable of more than anyone in my family ever gave me credit for. I remember looking at the city lights from my apartment window and telling myself that one day, I would be in a place where nobody could undermine me, a place where I would decide my own worth. I began taking online courses while working long hours, learning skills that were valuable in the market. Coding, graphic design, digital marketing. I absorbed everything I could, even when my mind was exhausted from work. People around me couldn't understand how I managed to keep going, how I stayed motivated when everything felt against me. But I knew that every hour I spent learning, every project I completed, was one step closer to freedom. Freedom from the judgment, freedom from the constant pressure to prove myself, and freedom from people who only cared about my bank account. Slowly, my side projects began earning small incomes. Small at first, but enough to give me hope, enough to make me realize that I could build a life without their approval. By the end of the second year, I had landed my first big client. It was a small company looking for digital marketing help, but to me it felt like winning $1 million. I worked day and night on that project, perfecting every detail, going beyond what they expected. When the results came in, the client was ecstatic, and word spread. More opportunities came my way, each bigger than the last. I could feel my life changing, slowly but surely. I could feel the weight of my past lifting, and for the first time in years, I felt proud of myself without needing approval from anyone else. Then came the day when news about my family reached me again. They had been caught in a fraud case, and the authorities were looking for someone to take responsibility. Suddenly, the people who once kicked me out for being poor were calling, begging, and pleading for my help. They acted as if nothing had ever happened, as if they had always respected me, and as if the pain they caused me was insignificant. But I remembered every moment, the nights I slept hungry, the words that stabbed me deep, the day they told me to leave. I knew that helping them now would be a mistake. I told them calmly but firmly, fire them all. I would not be a part of their lies or crimes. I would not rescue people who once treated me like dirt. 3 years after that moment, I am a different person. I am successful, rich, and independent. I have my own business, a team I manage, and respect from people who value my skills and hard work. My family no longer controls my life, and the voices that once told me I was worthless are gone. I have freedom, and with that freedom comes peace. I can look back at those dark days and smile because I survived, I thrived, and I turned pain into motivation. My story isn't just about money or revenge. It's about self-worth, resilience, and the power of believing in yourself even when everyone else doubts you. The journey was never easy, and some nights I still think about the apartment where I slept on that thin couch, hungry and tired. But those nights are a reminder of how far I've come. Every challenge, every rejection, every tear I shed was a stepping stone to the life I live today. And when I see my family now, begging and trying to reconnect, I feel a sense of calm power. I don't feel anger or desire for revenge. I feel proof that hard work and determination outweigh entitlement and laziness. They once controlled me through fear and rejection, but today, I control my own destiny. I control my own life. I control my own success.